Hey, hello guys, welcome back to my another new video. So in this video we will be discussing about the combinational circuit versus the sequential circuit. What is the difference between combinational circuit and sequential circuit? Combinational circuit, see, the output depends only on the current inputs. Like you have the current inputs, like you have, for example, if you have multiplexer, you have the inputs like one, you have the inputs like A, B, C, and then there is output. So there is no output that is connected to the input. So that is the combination circuit. Whereas in sequential circuit, output depends on the current inputs. Like the sequential circuit, for sequential circuit, we have the example of flip flops. So if you can see the example of flip flops, like we have this, if you take, or else you can take the example of D latch. So latches, you can take the example of latch. So in a latch you can see that the output is also depending on the input and it is also depending on the output. So both are dependable on each other. The output is dependent on input and also the output. So that is a combinational circuit. That is a sequential circuit, which is latch, flip flops, etc. So combinational circuit, it does not require memory elements. So combinational circuit need not be a memory element like a flip flop or a counter which is used to store the memory. Whereas a sequential circuit, it requires memory elements. So these flip flops or latches, these are called memory elements. Okay. Combinational circuit, in the combinational circuit, output is immediate and it is based on the input changes. Whereas in sequential circuit, output is dependent on the clock pulses. As I have showed you, in the combinational circuit, the output depends on the clock. So if you take the example of this D latch, which I explained you, in this D latch, this enable is nothing but it is a kind of clock signal. So the output is dependent on this enable. If this enable is switched off, no matter what is the input, the Q and Q bar, they remain in the latch state. Whereas if enable is turned on, then whatever the value of D is there, that is the data input, same is passed to the Q value and the Q naught. Q naught is just the reverse of Q. So here it is dependent on the clock signal. So that is the sequential circuit. Here in combinational circuit, no clock signal is required. Like we have the multiplexer, we have the encoder, decoder. So these are the combinational circuit, and here no clock signal is required. Whereas in sequential circuit, you see that it requires a clock signal to synchronize the state changes. In combinational circuit, it is a simple design without a need of memory. So they are not created for memory storage. Whereas sequential circuit, they are more complex due to memory and clock management. The combinational circuit is faster because the outputs, they change instantly with the inputs. So in the combinational circuit, like the multiplexer, or you have the encoder, so outputs, they change as per the input. So if we have the select lines, if you take the example of multiplexer, we have the select line. For if you take the example of 2:1 multiplexer, if S0, S1 and S0, if you take the example of 4:1 multiplexer, we have S1 and S0 as the select lines. So whatever the select line is there, on the basis of that the outputs are selected. Like if both S1 and S0 are 0, then the first input is selected. Whereas if S1 and S0 is 0, 1, then I1 is selected, like that. So they are constantly changing with inputs. But in sequential circuit, output does not depend only on the input, it depends on the clock cycles. So on the basis of clock transitioning, the output depends. The combinational circuit performs basic logical operations without any dependency, whereas sequential circuit perform operations that requires sequence or timed events. So timed events in the sense the transitions, like from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. The examples of combinational circuits are what we saw in the initial videos: the adders, subtractors, full adder, half adder, full subtractor, the multiplexer, encoders. Whereas the sequential circuits are the counters, ripple counters, the registers, the flip flops, SR flip flop, JK flip flop, okay, state machines. So these are the example of sequential circuits. The combinational circuits, generally they have lower power consumption, whereas the sequential circuits have higher power consumption because they are memory elements and they require clock circuitry, the CLK signal. Due to that, it consumes power. The combinational circuit, they are used in tasks that require direct logical operations. So as we see that the combinational circuits involve the gates, the AND gates, OR gates, and there are logical expressions. So here in we have the logical expressions. After simplifying the K-map, we have the logical expressions, whereas here in the sequential circuits we use these in the applications that involve the sequential operations. Like we use these flip-flops, latches, in counters. Like they can be act as a counting machine, like counting from 0, 1, 2, 3, or the registers. So that is the application of a sequential circuit. I hope now it is clear between combinational circuit and sequential circuit. Let us meet in the next new video.